where they've come out and announced, I'm resigning because the client is not doing this, and that. They're not following my advice. It's not about the lawyer. When you defend someone, we have certain rights in this country, and the one right that you have is that right to counsel. And it's not about the lawyer. So if you're no longer on the case, I think the best way to have handled this was to issue a statement. We are no longer the counsel of record for this case, withdrawn, end of discussion. But to go out and to hold a huge press conference like that, where plugs are being done for local channels and voices are being imitated of Congress women, and talking about specific mental health issues of your client, of your very own client or former client, it goes beyond any rational thought process as far as I'm concerned. Now, what's really important to know here, too, is it's also an attorney-client confidence. So the communications between you and your client aren't the only thing that's protected. It's also the confidences, which means anything that you learn or gain in the process of representing your client, you cannot divulge without the client's consent.
It's privilege.
Exactly.
Now that's what, to me, Gene, that's what's killing me. It'd be like if a physician said, oh, I'm not going to be this guy's doctor anymore, but he was a little nutty. Well, what are you going to do?
You and I talk about addiction,
Exactly.
Dr. Drew. Attorneys get addicted to fame. They get a little taste of it. Oh, my gosh. And all of a sudden, they want more and more and more. And they figured, well, this is the end of the line. He's doing his own thing. He's not returning our calls. How can we maximize at this moment the situation we've been dealt? Let's go out and hold a 46-minute news conference, knowing that with the intensity focused on this case, the national media is going to cover it live.
Of course.
You can't buy that kind of publicity.
So you think they did it out of a self-serving desire to get the limelight exclusively, and in that they slipped and divulged some information that they know is going to get their ass in a sling? I mean, the fact is they are going to, I think, Jose, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have real serious liabilities here, do they not?
They do if Mr. Zimmerman chooses to file a complaint against them, but I don't think that's...
Jose, he set up a website. He set up a website to try to garner some money together. Here's the perfect solution. He can sue his attorneys, and he has quite a case. Does he not?
Well, they seem to say, well, we never signed anything on paper. Therefore, were they even his attorneys? I mean, it's very amorphous. They never met him in person. They said they only spoke to him on the phone. So we're dealing with a mega case. And when you're in a mega case, it's a parallel universe. It's like being sucked into a black hole. None of the normal rules of gravity apply. And we're going to see more of this. This is just the beginning, Dr. Drew. Remember the O.J. Simpson case. Remember the Michael Jackson child molestation trial.
Yep.
Crazy things happen on a daily basis.
Well, we're talking to someone who was in the middle of that vortex, so I'd like to get some input from him. First of all, Jose, in Florida, there is no obligation for a written commitment. Is that right? To be an attorney?
No, that's correct. You're exactly right, Drew. There is no requirement, but it is highly advised to do so. So most competent attorneys, the very first thing they do is get a retainer agreement signed. The fact that a lawyer would go on television, put their name, their reputation, and out there in the national spotlight without having a retainer agreement is pretty odd.
But Jose, without you divulging any confidences, what is it like being in the middle of that kind of a maelstrom? I mean, you said it's not about the attorney, but you get painted with the brush of your client. You just do. I heard Jane say some pretty bad things about you before she was your friend.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's the job. That's the job of the defender. You have to stand in front of your client, take it on the chin, take it again and again and again and again, and take whatever comes your way to protect the client. And that's the amazing part of our constitutional right, that you have someone that will stand up for you, fight for you, and stand in the eye of the storm and defend you. And to sit there and, it's a tough job. I can't say that it's not. It keeps you up at night. It's the first thing you think of when you wake up and the last thing before you go to bed. And it's a very consuming process. But you got to always remember to step back and just practice law. And that's the best advice I would give to any attorney who's about to enter into a situation like this. And that is
Jose was
practice
tested.
law.
His mettle was tested on this one, was it not,
Jose, has George Zimmerman called you yet?
Are you up for this one, Jose?
You know, it's bad business practice to ever divulge whether a certain person is calling you or not. So you'll never get that from me.
Well, now I'm going to.
I would do that in any case, so don't draw anything from that.
But this case, I mean, no one liked Casey, but this case is so polarizing. I guess I can't expect you to necessarily answer this, but if George Zimmerman showed up on your doorstep, said, "I need representation," is that something you could step up and do?
Well, I think.
I'm not saying would you, but could you?
Well, let me put it to you this way, and I'll speak in general terms here. I think if a lawyer is in the criminal defense business, it is his or her duty to step up. Certainly, there are business considerations that a lawyer has to consider when taking on a case like this. But absent that, not for any other reason, the lawyer should take the case. I strongly feel that.
But Jose, I think this kind of case could mean safety concerns to you and even your family, could it not? Isn't that a consideration?
It could, absolutely.
Like
you take on those considerations, but this line of work is a selfless type of practice area. There are more lucrative practice areas that a lawyer can engage in, and you usually do this line of work because you have the cause in your heart, and not because you're out there looking for the buck or the limelight or anything like that. You're doing it because you believe that our Constitution needs defending. So, you are not literally the soldier on the front line, but you're pretty darn close to it. And most people who do this work do it with that type of dedication.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of defending the Constitution, but I remember when you were in the middle of all that, people were nice. Were they, James?
No, they weren't nice, they weren't nice. But you know what? It's like any other job. If there is a doctor in the emergency room and an unsavory character comes in needing medical attention, they don't deny that.
You do it.
You do it.
Yep,
you do your job.
Oh, guys, thank you. We're going to keep this conversation going. We'll be back right after this.